the school had sent a lecturer to the national board to change the requirements to study fashion because of me.
Ejiro Amos-Tafiri has built a fashion empire. She has turned creativity into a business powerhouse.
I didn't do the required subjects to get into art school. I wrote chemistry to get into art school.
Building her passion for education and how she continues to empower the next generation of fashion entrepreneurs.
She was the worst student in her class. I took her, I trained her, she graded best student. In 2017, I lost all my teeth.
What? How did you get out of this?
Well,
That's powerful. Fashion wasn't just about aesthetics, but about storytelling, sustainability, and cultural preservation. From winning multiple global awards to becoming Nigeria's drip queen.
signatures are gifts from God. It's not something you just pick along the way. There's no there.
The word is success.
Success is...
I love it. Hi, Ejiro.
Hi, Bola.
So tell me, how did your journey into fashion begin?
Accidentally, I would say, and also purposefully. I was always going to be a medical doctor, at least from when I knew myself. My parents always said, you're going to be a doctor. And just because I was academically bright and constantly won prizes, and it was just a given, since I was good in all my subjects, especially sciences and mathematics, by default, I would do medicine. And I okayed it as well. But then I found out early on that I was a restless creative in primary school. I always had more fun. I went to a very interesting primary school. So we had odd subjects like economics, and we used to sew things.
Okay.
Geography project, we would build planets and hang them.
Okay.
We always did things with our hands and went to the farm. We also had farm in my primary school. So I thought, okay, instead of this actual medicine, I like to be hands-on. I knew I like doing things with my hands. And I thought, okay, maybe veterinary medicine. There'll be a balance of both worlds.
Why veterinary medicine?
Just it will be medicine and it will be farming.
Oh, I see.
I won't have to be corporately dressed. I will wear shorts, shirts, and boots. I went to Mayflower. If you know his story, he's very rugged. My primary school was rugged. His son used to work in the school, so I just used to look at him. I had a crush when I was in primary school.
Oh.
And he would just have these shorts on and ride his truck. I'm like, when I'm a veterinary doctor,
This is how I want to look.
Ride a truck to work and just rush from one farm to the other, taking care of animals. That was my dream in primary school. Yeah, because I thought the only thing you could become was lawyer, doctor, whatever. The coolest medicine would be vet medicine.
Nice.
Fast forward secondary school. The love for things with my hands continued. In SS1, I always thought Greek was the next thing I'll add to medicine. By default, I doing Greek science and all the sciences. My Greek teacher was pregnant and she wasn't teaching. I was 13, 14, the rebellion time.
Think you know it all.
Yeah, no, scratch this. I retained knowledge by listening. I didn't like reading.
Okay.
But I loved consuming knowledge. So it was by listening. I'll go to class and everything they said. I wouldn't read, but I'll go to my exams and get A1, A2.
Oh.
As long as I listened. So when some people are studying beside me, I'm just listening. Once I've heard it, that's that. I didn't like actual studying, like reading. So she was not teaching. I'm like, what was I going to get in this subject now?
Oh,
Is this
so go and read your
Go and
textbook.
read. I'm looking for a free A1. And that's just how this thing I was uncomfortable with. I could have just doubled down and read or done something about it, but I just said, I'm going to leave this class. Remember that Greek was my next best, apart from Fikemba, which was not even fun. Fikemba is science, physics, and biology. I loved it. I was particular about it. Then I didn't know that was just God. You know how it makes you uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
Just nudges you like, move this way. So because of that, I went to clothing and textile. I left Greek. I went to look for something else to do. I went to food and nutrition. I was in an all-girls school, Queen's College. Food and nutrition, as you can expect, was, what else would I do? Remember at primary school, I liked to sew. I just moved to clothing and textile lab. This science, the class was empty. That was the smallest size class, vocational subject. I joined, and I enjoyed it anyway. Teacher was very wary. Science, what are you doing here? I'm like, I like it. Okay. I give you 1 week. If you're not serious, I'm going to kick you out. As God will have it, my first day there, we went on an excursion to Yaba Tech. I was super excited. I was leaving school and I landed Yaba Tech, School of Art. It's interesting. You have sculptures everywhere. Okay, what's going on here? Then we moved upstairs to the fashion lab. I knew that I'd met my future. My grandma was a seamstress. I loved picking out my clothes. If I didn't have the right clothes, it was a bad day. I didn't know that those things meant anything because no one ever said your future as fashion or dressmaking or clothing. Until that day, it all clicked somehow. I call it my aha moment. I was in SS1. I have a picture of it in Yaba Tech in the office.
Oh, really?
They were talking to all of us and I was on the table like, this is it. I could
Interesting.
see my future and I couldn't tell anyone.
Why couldn't you tell him?
You were supposed to be becoming a doctor. Now you realize that you're going to be sewing clothes or designing
How
clothes.
old were you
I was
then?
like 14.
What class?
SS1.
And you still felt you couldn't tell anyone?
Couldn't tell anyone.
Oh, from our
No, like,
sewing class, they took us to Yaba
no, I
Tech.
couldn't
It's
tell
so
anyone.
nice.
No.
Especially considering that was what your grandma also did.
No, I couldn't tell anyone, not even my friends. I was in an elitist school. Everyone there was looking forward to traveling abroad to becoming a doctor, engineer, lawyer. And the next best thing that was coming up was computer
so how
science.
do you now say?
So how do you say fashion? What are you talking about? And that time, maybe popular fashion designers in Nigeria were like 2 or 3. They were not mainstream. Like now you ask kids, popular Nigerian designers, they can tell you. Back then, only people that had eclectic parents would probably know.
Appreciate it.
So I couldn't tell even my friends. My friends knew that every birthday from that year on, they got something I made with my hands. Everyone in my class.
How did they feel about
They
that?
liked it. They knew it was important to me. Everyone around me knew. But
You just never
it wasn't
said
a conversation that could be had. That I wanted to go
Wow.
to fashion school. So I
Wow.
couldn't tell anyone. I had to deal with it by myself.
Wow.
And it
That's
made me
really
rebel
a
even more.
defining moment for you.
It was.
How exactly did you feel when you got to Yaba Tech? It was the same experiences, right? Aside from your grandma, almost everybody had a sewing machine. It was almost like one of those things that every girl should know how to do. At least be able to tack your button, be able to do this and that. How did you know that you could make something of it? Yes, you loved it, but how did you know this was your future?
I think because at that time I was already leaning into my spirituality, raised Catholic, knowing God, knowing who you are. I call it my born again moment. I just knew, like when you can say Moses said God told him, this ground you're on. I heard it clearly.
Because you had
it.
a confirmation in your spirit.
Yes,
like,
and
this
I
is
knew it was going to be a burden. I didn't hear it and know that it was going to be easy or the journey would be smooth. But I knew that it would be hard, even at that time. So when I mean hard, emotionally stressful, everything about it will be hard. So imagine having that kind of thing and you cannot share with even your friends.
Do you know what's blowing me away? I'm trying to think of how old you were. You having this much depth of thought with yourself.
It happens when you are, for lack of a better word, a geek. You don't really share things that are important with everyone else. At that point, I was finding myself, I was just a different kind of kid. I had experience from boarding house in primary school.
Okay.
So I had this knowledge of the world, so to speak, like things bigger
You were
than...
already independent.
Yes. This was okay to deal with privately. I don't know how to explain it.
Now that makes sense.
I think the journey, the stress, going to boarding house and then Queen's College to learn etiquette, because my primary school was very rugged. Like I told you, we had a farm. We went to the farm. It was rugged. Then I went to school like Queen's College, very bougie, harsh. It was good to balance it out so that the tomboy learns a bit of feminine etiquette.
Right.
And then even style
Right.
and then luxury and then just everything about what could be refined in the world. I don't think I would even know anything about refinement. I won't be the designer I am today. So Queen's College is also a pivotal point. Starting to see people wearing Timberland, moccasins, when they travel for the holidays. So these are the things I was picking up.
Did you used to come to school with mufti?
Oh, Jesus. They used to wear designer shoes to school. And the bags and everything. They would discuss the things they did when they traveled for the holiday. They wore gold in school. People had mobile phones in school. I know that was
Way back then.
A lot of people, maybe 2 people, who hide it from the lecturers. So it was interesting. And I really built a lot of my depth in those early years. I'm thankful for that, even though it's nice to sit back and think about it now that I'm older. When I was younger, I didn't see how the journey made sense, but now I see how everything wove into everything. Knowing that even at that time, I knew it was going to be hard because I was ready to put up a fight.
Accepted it, you were ready for it. Would you say since that SS1 that it clicked, you also were already mapping how you would find your way back, especially with your parents, when everybody wanted you to study medicine?
It took me 3 years to really figure out how to deal with it.
How did you do your JAMB and
that's it clicked. Like, you know how you plan, but God, until man proposes, God disposes. Somehow it just works in your favor. I planned that. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to write this JAMB. I'm going to pass it, but I'm not going to go to med school. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. So I wrote the JAMB, filled the form for the JAMB, and on the JAMB day, I was going with my elder brother. He was
so
also
you filled
writing
already
JAMB.
that you were
Medicine.
Is it JAMB? Medicine?
Yeah.
What was your second choice?
Medicine.
That's interesting. You wrote that you were headed in this direction when in actual sense you were going the opposite. Interesting.
So I just wrote it. And I went for the exam. Thankfully, my brother messed up. We got to the examination hall late. I didn't finish writing JAMB. I was really happy when I stepped out and I had an excuse to blame for my first failure ever. So I was super excited, and I go home and I told my dad, remember I was the star child in terms of education. So, Daddy, I'm not going to pass the exam. First time I ever said anything like that to my dad. I'm not going to pass this exam. What do you mean by that? I'm just not going to pass it. I know when I'm going to pass and when I'm not going to pass. I'm not going to pass the exam. Why? What do you mean by that? I said, Daddy, it was Tony's fault. We got there late. I'm sure my brother doesn't even remember all these things I'm talking about. We got there late. We couldn't find my hall. By the time I sat down, I did the best I could, but I'm sure no cut-off mark for medicine is really high, so I'm not going to get in. I need to buy PolyJam from ASAP so that I will not waste this 1 year. Multiply. Not like I totally planned it before, but it just all clicked. What would I tell my dad I want to do PolyJam from in the first place?
Oh, and you needed PolyJam to get into Yaba.
Yo, now you're talking. I was never going to have an opportunity to buy PolyJam form.
Moment of truth. Did you plan this with your brother?
No.
Could you have planned this with your brother?
No, I couldn't tell anyone. My dad is like, now that makes sense, you know. A girl just at home for 1 year. And there was no other option. My father was not going to take whatever the score was and go for Aki or go for something.
He had to be medicine.
My dad is the most straightforward person you ever meet. I'm never going to help you get into school. I'm never going to help you get any kind of job. I'm not going to use my connections for your benefit. My dad was SSS. He is as straight as is yes, no is no, and there is no in between. I was raised like a military person.
Wow.
So it's very like this.
Black or white. No gray areas.
My father is just learning gray now with my daughter. Just trying to, he's even resisting. So, thank God, PolyJam. I bought the PolyJam form. And that was it. I now kept this thing in my house.
But wait, remember I bought it. Is there medicine in poly?
No. There's science lab tech, which you can do and then find
then do IJMB back to university.
So there's science lab tech, which is if you don't get into medicine, you do science labs. So you start to learn the laboratory aspects. That can be an edge when you get back into university.
What did you feel in your PolyJam?
I bought this form. I submitted on the last day of form closure. I kept it for months. I just didn't know what to do. I just couldn't figure out. I can see fashion here. I would like to pick science lab tech.
Parents have to sign the form.
They don't have to, but typically
they will see.
It's a book now. I take it back to the bank and then submit it. So my dad was rushing to work that morning on the last day of submission. Did you have something in your form? What's wrong with you? And then I just go in front of him and I kneel down. And before I did that, I went to the family altar and I prayed. I just went there and said, Daddy, I'm going to disappoint you. Boy, today. What's this? I'm sure my parents thought I was like an Emery or something. What's it? I'm late. I'm like, I'm not going to fail science lab tech. Then I'm fail engineering. I'm not going to fail engineering. Then he stopped. What do you want to do? Is this going to be architecture? I'm not going to fail that either. What do you want to feel? I said, I want to feel fashion. Oh, wow. Everywhere went silent. But I was like, Ejiro, I know you will not disappoint me. You are my daughter. Fill that form and submit it today without fail. Carried his big face and it was out. Thank you. Anyways, I then went to the altar again and I prayed. I went to my room and I filled fashion and I submitted it. I had a cheat code. I was a science student, so to get into art school, you need
art subjects.
I didn't have any art, so I think they messed up. It's a funny story. I think they messed up in the printing of that booklet because there's another course called Polymer and Textile.
Okay.
It's a chemical course, how to make textiles, fabrics.
Right.
So the requirements for the polymer and textile, including chemistry, they put it inside the same
That
thing.
error was just for you.
My sister. So they put the one subject. So I wrote chemistry to get into art school. So I didn't have any arts. I didn't do arts in senior secondary school. I did arts in junior secondary school. Just clothing and textile, which was not a JAMB course. They wouldn't put it in JAMB. I did sciences.
Normally you would have done literature.
Art. I didn't do the required subjects to get into art school as my JAMB. I did this. Wrote it. It was all in my favor. Remember what I said? So I wrote it and I submitted it and I went to the JAMB day. I wrote my chemistry, all of that. And then left it at that and continued my life. Went to JAMB school. Of course, this medicine that we have been planning since I was born. It has to come to life. I was back in JAMB school and they printed results in the papers. So somebody in my church, my dad's friend from Christian Men's Association, something like that. Hey, Amos, your daughter got into our school. My name is my name and my dad's name, Ejiro Amos-Tafiri. So Amos got into your school. My dad knows he's an artist, of course. This man is an artist. He's the head of art department.
In Yaba.
In Yaba Tech. I was like, you don't know what you're saying. She didn't get into your school. She got into Yaba Tech, but not your school of art. I was like, no, Amos, your daughter got admission into my school of art. My daddy was confused, so he came home raging mad. Like, remember, I'm the apple of everybody's eye. I don't mess up, I don't misbehave. I'm never called for any disciplinary thing all through. What's going on? My dad was so angry with me. He wouldn't see me for days. I just kept quiet. My mother told him that this child has been rebelling and she doesn't rebel. I think we should just
calm down.
Like, what's going on with her? He said, okay. Went to the school. Said, go register. She's not going to do it. Like, don't worry. She was writing JAMB. Let her just get this thing. At least she's a girl.
Thank God for mothers.
Nothing is lost. She didn't understand me either. Don't thank God too quickly.
No, but at least she found a way. At that point.
She was like, it's so now. She made clothes for her children, her husband's clothes. Thank God, I beg. They just followed me to the Yaba Tech to register. I had all sciences. Everyone that saw my results thought, are your parents alive? Do you need help? It didn't make sense. Even going to Queen's College, because you need a reference letter from your school. So even going to get a reference letter from a school, my teacher was telling me, it won't give you. You're wasting your life. It was
like straight A's. You're going to fashion.
We won't give you. I'm telling my mother. My mother is beside me and asking, are your parents
alive? She'll be
alive?
Going,
Are your parents alive? My mother will just put her face in her hands and be like, oh, you only.
Also disgrace me. She's not only rebelling, she's
great.
adding
Public
disgrace, joy. Wow.
And I'll be like, notice what I want. They just kept passing me around. And I was 16-ish. Remember, SS1 was 14, 15, 16. So just before I turned 17, I was getting to Yaba Tech. And they were just passing me around. Come and see this girl. And then somebody thought it was really good. By the time I got, they were excited. I just keep telling my story all the time. By the time I got to the final place to sign off, now, not School of Art people anymore, the Yaba Tech people to check my results. Those ones, they're bureaucratic. They're not in awe of, because it's not their job. This one is just straight up science, art. You can't get into this school. Every other person assigned, all the departments that needed to sign off on it in School of Art. We have to go from one place to another. You just keep signing and approving that you can join the School of Art. But when I went to the actual Yaba Tech, they said, no, that your result is sciences and this is an art school. And really, it shouldn't mix. My mom was so relieved and I was so sad. But I'm like, I've tried.
So your mom was trying to be supportive? She was hoping for a miracle.
Yes.
Kind of miracle you hoped for when you were late for JAMB.
It worked out. She was happy. I looked up and I said, I've tried. I went home. 2 or 3 months after, somebody comes to my house and says, they've changed the requirements and they asked me to come and resume.
The school changed the requirements.
Yes, they sent a lecturer to MBTC in the north.
MBTC.
A National Board of Technical Education, something, had added clothing and textile. Before, it just arts, the school of art, so you have to do arts. I did clothing and textile, which was how I found out.
Sciences.
No, clothing and textile is just sewing.
Yeah, but you mentioned one where
no, that's
requirement
polymath. That's polymath.
right.
I'm talking about my YEC results.
You did clothing and textile in
Yes,
YEC.
yes. It's not even part of the requirements to study fashion. Do you understand? To get into the School of Arts, you have to do arts. And fashion is under School of Arts. Now, I had no art in my result. The arts, where you paint, sculpt, do whatever. I didn't do in secondary school. So I didn't have it in YEC. So I couldn't get into the School of Arts.
Now I get it.
Yes. So now I went home back to my normal life and they came to call me in the morning to come back to school 3 months after. The school had sent a lecturer to the national board to change the requirements to study fashion because of me. They added clothing and textile. They now sent a student to my house. Remember, we didn't have mobile phones. I don't want to tell my dad because they already knew that my parents didn't want me to study fashion. They sent a student to my house. I was sweeping, doing my chores. When she came, Sandra, it was Sandra. I'm looking for Ejiro Amos-Tafiri. Present. They are straight to come change the requirements. I ran.
Wow.
So I got money from my mom and ran to school. That was the first day at school. If I had that kind of journey, what would I have seen along the way that would have told me turn back and go on?
There's no way here.
Past and settled all those things in the past, in the spirit. So those things, all the other stresses that came. Trust me, I was the youngest in my class, bullied all the time. They used to destroy my assignments because I was a science student coming into an art space. I was
like an outsider.
No, not really. I was irritating them. I approached my assignment. I went to Queen's College. So it prepared us to be president in Queen's College. Like every assignment, you do as if you want to end your life there. So you give me a normal assignment, like go do calligraphy, and I'll do 5 different types of calligraphy. And they'll be like,
where is this girl from?
Why do they have to add this type of human being to our class?
Making life hard for the rest of us.
But I was on a mission because I had to prove to my dad and my mom, and they didn't understand that. So everything in my arsenal I was going to use, and they had an advantage. They were artists. I was not. I had art in me, but I wasn't training to become an artist. I had to learn and crawl up the ladder, live drawing classes and other things, because I had something to prove. Fashion is not easy, but it was easy for me because I had a science background. So all the other things were easy. The thing I had to learn was the art part.
How long did it take for your dad to accept?
Probably when I started making money.
Oh! Wow. How many years was the course? 5 years. He was just chilling.
He dropped me in school. I'm his
baby.
So I'm his favorite. Not favorite child, but I'm one of his favorite children, I think. I think I'm most like him. So even the audacity to stand up to him, nobody stands up to my dad. And I stood up to him at every point. So every week he picked me up from the hostel. I'll be in my room upstairs and he'll be screaming from the public announcement. They didn't like what I was doing, but they supported me. I wrote JAMB 3 times.
After then?
I passed.
You didn't let them know?
No, I didn't tell them.
And nobody whispered in their ears?
No. Nobody knew. I was very private. Before the results would come, by the time they find out, Otilo, you write another one.
So for a child that didn't used to rebel, that was good with academics, good with everything, how did it make you feel at the time that you knew you had to do this and you knew it was going to hurt your parents?
If you allow your children find the secrets or just power in other things, like I said, it was all coming from me finding my spirituality early. I knew I had another father who I had talked to and who had done these things. So they will be fine.
That's interesting.
I just knew. Maybe Jesus said to his mother, why are you? Did you know I'll be in my father's house?
What's your example?
They'll be okay. Everybody's chasing their life. You live your own life. That independence they gave me at that very young age really worked in my favor. I was very sure. When I got to Yaba Tech, I started dressing like a fashion student.
You went wild with your style.
Yes. It was rebellion after rebellion, and my parents just didn't get it. The only thing they knew was that I never dropped this spiritual side. I'll go to church with them every day. Every time it's time for prayers, I'm there.
How do you, how do you dress to church?
That's it.
Wow.
My skirts became shorter. My dresses became shorter. My jeans became crazy. I'll paint on it.
Expressing that
As I went young, my parents were stressed out mentally because it didn't make sense to them. They were just really worried. They didn't know how to balance. They didn't know what was going on. Yeah, they were stressed out. My daddy grounded me. I told me there was no more fashion. I cried for 2 weeks within my first term, first session.
Meaning you couldn't go to school?
Yes, I couldn't leave the flat.
Compound. Wow.
Yeah, just chores. You fetch water, sweep the compound, cook food.
What was his reason? What did you do at the time?
I think I wore something short. I was going to school on Monday morning. I went home every weekend. So I wore a short dress. I think in church, we knelt to pray. He then saw my lap. My father something. I think I was looking for another excuse since. He drove me back home, grounded. I cried my eyes out as if my life was ending. You know how when you're young, you think you know everything, and you think that really, if this does not work out this way, your life is over. I wrote this letter that they definitely not my parents, and my mom had been giving me hell. At this time, you're blossoming, you're talking to boys. One day, I was talking to one boy in my street. If I was doing something bad, I would hide. My mother was coming, I was talking to the boy. My mother took a pee. There's nothing she did not say to me that day. So my mom had been stressing me out. I was just crying, like, one day away, they call me my parents. They are not my parents.
They just adopted me. Child that have never said that. That your parents adopted you.
They adopted me. Yeah, they should tell me. I wrote that foolscap sheet 3. I didn't sleep. I cried. My father was doing his normal midnight walk around the house, and he saw me balled over paper. I slept off. My father collected later.
And he read it.
He waited for morning. He woke me up. Went to work late. Call my mother. Sit down. It's like, this is your child. It's about to run away. Is it this school? Carry your load.
Oh yeah, go.
Be going. Is it this fashion you want to run to? Please, start going.
Wow.
But this outfit, your skirts must become longer. And that was it. She wore short skirts. I just wore them to club only.
As a young girl, you had to rebel. Oh, yes, I think so.
It's good, especially when you raise your kids. Allow them a bit of space. My parents need to have more faith. I tell my mom, it wasn't so much about those things we were fighting about. It was my own decision.
Trusting that you would make a good decision.
You had put me in the right path. You had taken me to church. You had given me independence from really early on. And I had not failed you with it. I just started making decisions that they didn't understand. That was fine. I made them proud. They would come for prize giving every year, but they didn't like it. Only proud when they were in Yaba Tech. Once we left that Yaba Tech gate,
they will start moving.
It's not their fault, though.
No, they understood.
Like I said, I couldn't tell anyone. Even in the family, I became an outcast, like extended. In church, everyone sniped at them. Their friends laughed at them. I was really a bright kid from primary school. So I was supposed to go to gifted school, Suleja. I was supposed to be Nigeria's one of... But
yeah.
You can imagine having that trajectory, and then all of a sudden, the child chooses the very...
passion.
It was just it. And I'm not sure. I don't know what it is, but I know it's God's plan. Somehow.
Clearly, because at every pivotal moment, it feels like a miracle. It's a story of an outlier.
Absolutely. So when I got into fashion and people ask me, Junior will succeed, I'm like, of course. I just have that complete knowing. I'd done the work. I had studied. I had interned. I had gone through so much to go through this.
I'm curious.
Succeed.
You're known for drapery has become your signature style, right?
Pretty much.
Did you find this while in Yaba Tech?
Yes.
Or so you had decided from then that it would be your signature? Or how did that happen?
You know, signatures are gifts from God. That's how I'll describe it. It's not something you just pick along the way and say, this is what I want. We did our normal courses, and then when they want to teach us drapery, I think it was final semester, one of the very last clothing construction techniques. I just latched onto it. And I was just different. Like, I loved it. Maybe because I'd also worked in Tiffany Amber as one of my internships, just my 1 year internship.
While in school.
Yes, my first internship was Zicado, 3 months. Second internship was Tiffany Amber, 1 year. I was introduced to fluid fabrics in Tiffany Amber. In School of Arts, they do sculpture, ceramics, textile, so that you do everything. Then you find the one that draws you. So when you go to the one that draws you, you find the technique that you are supposed to excel in. I learned everything, and I found that technique that really called me, where I could do, and it has been cheat code for me. So where people think it's difficult, it's simple, really, but it's simple to me.
You, because it draws you in.
Yeah. It was just picking up things along the way. And I remember way back then in art school, Eloho of Bed Models, I think she came to school, let's have the fashion brand together. She was saying we should do jeans. I'm like, nice, but I know that's not really my thing.
You're already happy with fluid fabric.
Yeah, I was trying several things. That was also like shiny. Have a business partner. It sounded good. A few other people asked. Said, no, please, let's go work. I had seen what was possible with Tiffany Amber, and I knew my tutelage in Yaba Tech was not going to cut it. Like, it would cut it in terms of technicality, but not in terms of real world experience. We didn't use luxurious fabrics. We didn't explore them. They were not available for us to explore.
Okay.
And I knew that I was raised by paramilitary parents, and we didn't sell anything. I didn't know anyone that ran a business in my circle. So I chose to work to learn how to run a business. I applied for other jobs. I didn't want to go back to Tiffany right out the gate. So I applied for 2 other jobs. I ended up working at Africa. They said I didn't pass my interview. I did a 3-day interview, and the final result was that I didn't pass.
Oh, 3 days.
You design.
Okay.
You draft. You Textile. I went through it. I did it religiously, 3 days. I had one where they gave me my managerial position right at the bat, first job out of school. I applied for 2 jobs. The other interview took longer. I poured my heart into it, like writing an exam. The final result says I did not pass. I was not qualified to be a designer. At that point, there were 2 designers from Yaba Tech that were working there. And I knew what they graduated with. So I was wondering, did I do something wrong? Maybe I'm just not good enough, which is something to learn. I took that job with less pay, 25,000 naira. The other one was 40,000 naira. So I took this 25,000 job because I didn't know.
Because you felt there was something
to learn. Yes. So, but within 2 days, I became a designer.
2 days. What changed? How did you
Nothing.
suddenly become a designer?
Nothing. I think
After failing.
I don't know. I think maybe like I said, everything is God's plan. Maybe the production manager was twerking. But maybe they gave me the job of a production assistant, but I took it. It was a demeaning position, so to speak. When
Maybe
I took
it was another test.
That's what I'm saying. Everything was God's plan. I joined as a production assistant. My first day at work, the designers resigned. Poached already.
Your story is very interesting, Ejiro.
Designers resigned. They were doing a project for Miss World. Agbani won the year before. This year, Tiana Perry was going to Miss World. That company was preparing her costume. Now they had no designer. So there's somebody to do creative work. And that fell into my laps. And I slay it, girl.
Wow. Oh.
So I just became designer like that. That's how the job went. I did it for a year. It was good. So that was my NYC year. Remember, I was right out of school. I went for the job before and call-up letters came out. By the time it came out, I went
Where were you posted?
Enugu. I applied for a creative reality TV series. I got chosen. I was supposed to
From Enugu. Okay.
I came to Lagos audition. First time I took Peace Mask, there was no back. I sat on the stool throughout that journey.
Wow.
When people are complaining now, I'm like, what? From Enugu to Lagos on a stool. That was crazy. And imagine that I had audition at 8 a.m. next morning.
That's an average how many hours?
Maybe 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. It
Wow.
was horrendous. I remember it was that bad.
Wow.
I cried all through. And I got to Maza and had to find my way home. Got to maybe like 12:30. It was scary. And woke up at 5, out of the door, back to Keja for auditions. I was picked, thank God. Got to the house, was the finalist. In fact, they had already announced me winner the day before. On stage, somebody else won. Another test.
They announced you winner.
It was creative academy. There was fashion, photography, several things, and then business. I was the best in fashion. So it was whoever was best in their category, and then business was automatic winner.
Right.
So I was last man standing in fashion. And then I did business. Business, I was like 80 and other people were like 40. Next person. So it was already a clear, like it was already clear. So they already came congratulating me. The sponsors, First Bank, it was 30 million. My fashion tutor. So you're telling me, okay, your $5,000 for fashion price. I think you should share it to your other fashion people. And this your 30 million will help you set up your business. And I'm thankful now that I did not get that money because I would have been swollen headed. And I thought Moti arrived already. Best student from Yaba, blah, 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 blah. Imagine going to work, first day of work as production assistant. They're already eating the humble pie. Next thing, they have become designer. So I'm already feeling special now. I cried. But do you know this $500 gone? We didn't get it.
Interesting.
They give us 5K airport transport from when they drop you at the airport to get you to your taxi.
5K naira.
5,000. In fact, I spent some years trying to, but you want to fight who? Government? I don't try it.
It was a government thing.
Yeah, it was. Back to the hustle, back to the grind. And then I just started going to entrepreneurial courses. It didn't happen the way it was. It always seemed a great moment, but this journey has been very insightful and very deep.
Yeah.
Also building for me personally, just to have faith and knowing that one door closes.
Another one.
Yes.
Open. How long did you work before setting up Ejiro Amos-Tafiri, the label?
After Yaba?
Yes. So you worked here for your
NYC. After NYC, I redeployed back to Lagos. So I finished NYC with that company. At this point, I was creative director. So not
all
just
within
designer.
1 year.
All within 1 year. I had 3 promotions within 1 year. It was fantastic. But then I used to finish my assignments by 4. And I thought, I'm too young. I'm not rich yet. Why am I finishing my day's tasks by 4 p.m.? So by 4, I'm done. And then scrolling through magazines and stuff. I felt lazy. So when Tiffany Yaba came calling, I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to that also.
Okay, so having worked there before, you understood the
at Tiffany Yaba, I became her
work
PA
assignment.
During my internship. Before I was 18, I was interviewing graduates.
Interesting.
I turned 18 in Tiffany Yaba, and the machine she gave me is still in my office. I was her PA. I started heading the factory, even sales section.
What was the work hours there?
It was maybe 8 till 6, but I usually left work by 9.
So you needed that
and
energy.
Then in Yaba Tech, we worked all night, worked all the time.
So your training was already given to it.
So I didn't like that my first job out of school was too comfortable. I just felt that I was going to fail in life if I stayed there. I looked at people around me. They weren't aspiring for much. What I wanted was so much more than everyone else in my office.
I knew you needed to do more.
Yes, I needed to move to a more aggressive environment. This environment was to come. So I resigned and I did my exit interview and I told them that it was too simple for me. I didn't like it. So I moved to TA, where it was hustle to your quench. Where it was good. It was beautiful.
How long did you stay there?
2 years.
You told me a story once about being in Tiffany Yaba and you having to question some of your then superiors for how they
that
were
was
working.
my mode.
Was that during your NYC?
NYC.
Do you mind telling us a bit of that?
Moved back to Tiffany Yaba. It had become it had grown. It was doing very well. We now had expert traits. We had a Romanian, we had an Indian, we had a Filipino, we had a British. These were the expats in the workplace. And then I was coming with my Yaba Tech HND. As an expert, of course, I wasn't going to be paid anything like they were paid. I think it was my first salary in Tiffany Yaba. It was 80,000 or 90,000.
How much were you being paid as a creative director?
I was doing NYC. It was 60,000. And government was giving us 40,000, remember? So it was 100. I can't remember. I think it was 80K.
But then NYC was already over. On your own.
Yes, but then there was going to be accommodation.
Okay.
And really, I wasn't working for money. Let me be honest. Like, I didn't care. Remember, I got 40,000, I took 25,000 naira. I needed money in my life.
You went there for the hustle anyway.
I wanted to learn. Like, these kind of clients, how do you book them? How do you check them? How do you attend to them? What do they feel? That's what I wanted to learn. I don't get that from fashion school. Nobody's teaching you that part. That's why I went back to Tiffany. When I got back to this workplace, where everything was fine, my first assignment, remember, they hired me as a designer. I was young compared to other people I came to meet there. The whole climate had changed from those 3 years that I didn't work there. I had to reintroduce myself to the team. And they gave me this project. My first project was the box suitcase of Mrs. Fashola's clothes. She was first lady then of Lagos State. And they had ruined her clothes. So my boss definitely just gave me the box.
They were already made clothes.
They were ruined.
Fabric.
No, made clothes.
Interesting.
Ruined. They wouldn't fit. So I just asked, can I take measurements again? So I got measurements and I redesigned and I gave her to approve. She approved, told the storekeeper to give me access and introduced me to 2 tailors to work with. I know I was very small in their eyes. I was very quiet. So I quietly just said, and I could speak Yoruba. I speak Yoruba really well, of course, you heard me listening. They didn't know that, so I just kept that part to myself. That's people working there at the time. They're just talking all kinds of things. I just kept quiet, put my head down, drafted, cut, and I went to meet the man. Good morning, sir. So they say you're going to work with me today. Please, I'm just going to give you stuff. I've pinned them. Anywhere I pin, please just sew it. Looked at me and he snide. I just took it. Shetan.
The shock on their faces.
The whole office went silent for the next 2 hours. Everybody just concentrating on doing their work.
They knew everything they had said before.
Yes. And by the time we finished, everything was perfect. So everyone just had respect. So that was how I ended. God always prepares the ground, sends this task ahead of me, impossible to do, and then gives me the code. I just knew what to do and I did it. And then it worked. And then I went to fit Mrs. Fashola with my boss and everything was fine. She asked for my name. She was already angry the first time. I saw the designs were different and it worked. Looked at her, looked at the kind of thing she was. She was a simple person. She didn't need too much. She's not going to wear tight clothes, fitted. So they were nice and she was happy. A beautiful relationship gained. My boss happy with me, and then everybody in the factory respecting. Those 2 years, it was tough dealing with those people. Some of them were badly behaved and having to deal with all of that. And I was so particular about, I am here. This company must blossom. And everything must be next to perfect. So when the bosses are saying things, I'm like, no, it's not going to happen like that. I remember this one time we had customer stuff to deliver. And they had accommodation for the expatriates, some of them. I had to go home with the office car. I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere. Mr. Driver, you can't move this car.
Why?
Because why
was the office car for everybody?
It was to deliver. It was the office car. So me that I want to deliver customers' clothes, you want to go home. How?
Oh.
When you are leaving me in the office. I said, if you must leave, take Okada. I was their subordinate, by the way. I said, if you must leave, take Okada. It's not far. You're just going to Oniru.
Where was the office?
VI. This client's clothes that is for all of us. When the client pays, it's all of us that are going to pay. So you're not going anywhere. What do you mean by that? I said, do you want to call the MD? I always challenged them. One time I say, but I'm white in my country. I'm like, you are what? I said, you are Cora. Have you heard it before? I am naughty, but I think a lot of it happens in my head. When you press that button,
just comes pouring out. The filter goes off.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Most of them left me in that company. They couldn't cope. Because they had so many issues.
Pain.
Yes, but they were not delivering now. They're hiring all of you from different countries and we're still doing rubber work. We're supposed to be growing, not doing rubber. The good thing was I did my job well. And they couldn't say those things to the boss. So these are things they did at the back. Have 10 cigarette breaks, 20 cigarette breaks. There was one time they hired somebody new, another senior designer. She had gone to Central St. Martin. But she came to work. She was technically sound, but she couldn't be productive. I went to Yaba Tech. I know the ground hustle. I have a collection to deliver on 20 pieces. She's going to be struggling to draft one. I've drafted the other 19, finished the clothes, packed it in the box. I'm waiting for her to finish. So it's not only book sense. We need street sense. We need hustle. We need everything.
So would you attribute this training to your initial training from Yaba Tech?
Yeah, everything.
Working nights, the assignments, doing
Also
overnight.
everything, right from Mayflower to Queen's College, Excellence, and all those schools like Mayflower, Queen's College, Yaba Tech.
You
big
had
on
a rugged,
excellence.
you were in
Yes.
boarding house, already
Difficult
having in mind
situation.
your own,
Yes. And
making
even
your own
just
decisions.
making the most out of difficult situations. We had bare amenities, very good food, but every other thing was bare, like military style. And you just had to make do. You didn't need that much to survive. You'll be okay, healthy. Your brain will function at a high level. If needed, leaving that and going to a bit more comfort. But I was able to survive and learn along the way. Then Yaba Tech came where I needed to deploy all of them. And then what I learned from there is how to deal with bullies, because I was bullied a lot in school because I was the youngest in my class. If I didn't, the excellence of my work would not show. They would always bring it down. Customers would be unsatisfied. We won't have top rate delivery time. We won't have good turnaround time because of all those bureaucratic issues. No, it wouldn't work. So I wouldn't allow them keep doing that if I need it. I said, I need to get bonuses. My salary is not plenty.
So that was your drive.
Yes. Because my first month I got bonus. Second month I got bonus. I'm like, okay, so if I do great, I'll get more
I'll
than
be
this
getting
90K.
bonus.
I need this bonus in my life, please. So I wasn't
You
going
weren't
to
going
let
to
anybody.
let anybody, no
Mba.
matter your hierarchy
No,
standing.
no. That's also how I dealt with my parents. They were authority over me, but they were not authority over my destiny. If I needed to be tough with them, I would be to achieve what I wanted to achieve. As long as I had things to check my decisions by. Does it offend man? Does it offend God? Does it disgrace my family? So if I answered all those questions and it was no, I was good to go.
So you learned how to demand of life exactly what you wanted.
Exactly.
Without apologies to anyone, anything.
And be willing to pay the
Interesting.
price.
While you were working at Tiffany and you were this hard, did you experience, think of
Pushbacks.
normal office of politics? Did they try to report you to your boss, plan for you, those kind of things?
I already learned how to be. My journey was already nice and blessed. Primary school, I was the prefect. Secondary school, I was the captain. Yaba Tech, I was head of several organizations and committees in school. And church, I was youth leader. So I already knew how to.
You had experienced all of those things.
And I knew that even I was the first female youth leader in my church. The
So what
politics
were the
days,
things you did? The reason I ask, I can imagine someone listening
Make
to
sh-
this now and is feeling, how do I demand more? They're going to gang up against me.
First
What
of
are
all, you
the
have to be
things to do?
grounded. Like, be sure of why you are doing that. I wasn't that to be mean or rude. No, I just demanded what needed to be the standard in the workplace. So everybody will see that it was to their own advantage. It made sense to everyone else. Maybe against you as an individual. Was it benefiting everyone, including you? The answer usually will be yes. I didn't interfere in people's relationships. People had interpersonal relationships, other personal quirks. No, it was about
The work.
the work.
It was always, your disagreement was always on
On
the
what
job.
was common to all of us and what was going to hurt all of us. So it had nothing to do with anyone. And I understood people's quirks and I gave them their space. But where it would be excessive and cross. So I was sort of a people's champion in my office. So I was always on my boss's side, but I was also the people's champion. So if we needed to demand anything of MD, they will ask me to. If we've messed up with something, we need more time, if we want to work on Saturday, we want to ask for money for diesel, they'll send me. So it wasn't to everyone's disadvantage that I was their friend. I was friendly with them. I was respectful. I never lost my humility. Good morning, GM. Good morning, MD. I was still very respectful. But in the moment of you making a wrong decision, I won't let it pass. So it depends on who you are and what you want to stand for. I believe that you stand for everything. You're going to be nobody or lose everything. I want my time here to count. I want people to say this is who Ejiro was and this is what she stood for. I remember my dad, even though he got beaten several times for being exactly that way. So I learned quickly how to make sure that You don't burn the bridges just
Right.
because you are standing
being
for
straight.
something. You're being
Right.
straight. Find a way to be straight and be diplomatic at the same time. It's tough being like that. Sometimes you really get burnt because your emotions get the best of you. You're not really looking at other things. You're not able to hold it. Especially when you start to feel invincible. It's a very dangerous feeling. I've gotten to those moments and I did get really burnt. But it's all good because you had to learn. If I didn't get burnt then, it would happen sometime in my future. So it's good to get that correction, especially since, like I said, I didn't have these experiences around my immediate circle
Right.
to learn from. Going into the business world or just learning how to build stuff, it was nice to learn and experience these things. In Tiffany Amber, I remain a legend, I dare say. Remain till this day.
So I remember earlier when you said your aha moment, and when
Yeah.
you knew that this was your future, and you couldn't tell anyone. You were sure that you knew it was going to be hard. It wasn't going to be easy, but you knew it was what you were here to do. Time you started EAT or through the journey, what major challenges did you experience that almost made you question, am I sure? Or I'm sure, but I didn't know it was going to be like
It's
this.
hard. I don't catalog challenges. I say this every time. It's one of
Right.
the quickest things I forget. It's only a challenge while I'm dealing with it. Once we've passed it, it's gone.
That's powerful.
It's gone. But I think 2017,
When did you start?
2010.
Wow.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's 7
When
years.
you started media company, remember? We started out at the same time.
That's a long
thereabout.
time.
So we're like 15
Well
years
done.
into this game now. So 2017. I mean, I was ready for the hard. I kept falling sick. It was okay. I knew that was what I was here for, prepared for. So it was okay. But having built, I started to feel invincible. And everything was working out. I was growing. We had 3 shops at this time. I had 2 factories. Almost every endorsement in the fashion industry. Ejiro.
Had all the accolades.
Beyond that, I had awards. Henneken, Samsung, Vlisco, even other international agencies who would come to my office from all around the world. It was a high. And I didn't realize that there were things that had cracked in my team. So in 2017, I lost all my team.
When you say
Gradually.
you lost all your team,
Everyone left.
how large was your team?
Like 20 or more.
And you lost all, every
Yes.
single one of them.
Yes.
How?
Gradually, one person. I lost one person, and the person was a cancer.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had this PA who had even told everyone that we own the company together.
She was your partner behind your back.
Hey, my God. She had threatened everybody in the company. I know just because like the closest person to me.
Was
it
she
gone.
there before the other 19 were hired?
Some of them are even family. No, not necessarily. She was there before most of the others. She was something, and she raged and ravaged for a while.
And you had no clue.
That was evil. Like I said, you don't get to the point where you start to feel invincible. I knew that she wasn't all that. Everyone has their quirks. And that's how I see it. You don't don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, this person has this bad habit. But I didn't know it was anything like that. I didn't know she was telling anyone that she was the co-owner. I didn't realize that she had gone into all my relationships in the market and destroyed them. I grew my business taking loans in the market, not cash loans, like fabrics.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to scale really quickly when opportunities started opening up.
Give me
After
fabrics.
I designed, I started doing like 100 pieces a week. I could go into the market and collect 5 million worth of fabric, 10 million worth of fabric, and pay over the course of 2 months. It was very good because I didn't have to touch the other monies. And once I sold, I was able to return. So it was win-win and a beautiful relationship. But by the time we started getting bigger, I started traveling more and doing other things. I wasn't going to market as much. Started forming a relationship with those people. I started increasing the cost, whatever it was. When I started sending other people, started threatening them on the way. It was really weird. Then I had this relationship that almost destroyed my life. The devil came for me and it came hard. If I wasn't on this journey, if I was just a quiet doctor, I'm not sure you'd be looking for me like this. Devil, what have I done to you? Leave me alone. But the devil ravaged and roared, and oh my God, it was tough. I'm like, yeah, God, I'm ready. You gave me this. You can take it all away.
It was that bad.
Tell me what else you want me to do. Take it all away, because I was going to lose my company. I lost everyone. Fashion Week, it was miraculous. I've never really thought on thinking about my life like this.
So wait,
What's going on?
Hey, it's me you're talking to. So wait,
God.
Fashion Week is always October.
So it didn't happen at
before
once. So
October.
it happened gradually. So it was January. We were trying to build bigger. I had a business development manager, and she became jealous. She consciously
She'd be jealous of you.
Business development.
Oh, your PA became jealous because you had a business development.
I hired
manager.
a production manager and a business development. Remember, we had 4 offices at this time.
So they started eating into all those places she was getting stuff from.
No,
Or what exactly?
Not necessarily. It was just
Being close
the
to
need
you.
to be almighty, powerful.
Oh dear.
Then she just became wild. And when I said I can't do this anymore, it's when this outfit Anti-Kate and Sto,
Yeah.
they wanted to make, and she consciously gave wrong information to the tailors, to the production team. She sabotaged it. So by the time we delivered rubbish. She also went to my personal relationship with my customers. Some very good relationships I had, she went in there and destroyed them because she was living close to their homes. So she take it there and then say things about me. Some things you can't really repair completely, but then to each his own. I'm like, I'm not so big on those things. I believe like what God wants to fix or what he wants to preserve, he preserves, and whatever is meant to go. If anyone who hears bad things about you and they're okay with it without asking you, they wanted to find your weakness or wanted to hear about it in the first place.
I'm wondering why are we even having a conversation about.
She was friendly,
Yeah.
and she knew how to enter people. And for lack of a better word, I won't say I've worked on it a lot. Before I say I'm a big person, some things you say they become real in your life. No more.
Now I'm a people person.
I write it on the board in my office so I can look at it and see it. I'm a people person. I like technology. Those are things I struggle with. When I enter the office, look at it. I'm a people person. Talk to people. You will not die. You will survive. Because I just thought she was a people person. She would handle that. It was a gradual thing. So when I found that, I was going to call her to a meeting and said, you always wanted to do fabrics. Should I give you 3 months salary ahead? Like, and then you become our fabric supplier. You'll be our mark. I didn't even know she was adding money. So I was okay with her even still cheating us. Eh? Let me give you money to be able to source fabrics and then come sell it to us.
So you were going to set her up.
Yeah.
You wanted her to leave after you found out what she was doing. But her severance package was to set her up on a business with a client.
Guaranteed.
A sure client.
That's right. Or
what was her response?
Or stay and don't try sabotage ever again. If you do, you leave with nothing. She said she will stay. I was still in the office. By the time I was driving out of the office, I saw her on the road. I looked at her and she looked at me and she eyed me.
What?
She stopped. Yes,
she chose
30
to
minutes
stay.
after. Yes, so she was at the bus stop and I was
Yes,
driving out of the
country.
compound and she eyed me. Benekwe worry. Yeah, I still thought I swatted it off. Thank God the next day I went to pray because perhaps this would have been worse in my life. I went for a prayer session. So they were calling, my phone was blowing up. I was at this revival and my phone was blowing up. By 12, I decided to check the phone. What's going on? She didn't come to work and they're having difficulty. I said, okay, handle it. Whatever you guys can do. Then she was coming. Then she sent me a message, I'm not taking the money and I'm not coming back to work. This girl, her plan was to end me, but it did not work. She went to my relationships. She was a Yaba tech student.
Was
she came from
she?
intern. She was the worst student in her class. Nobody wanted to hire her. Like her first internship. I took her, I trained her. She graduated best student.
Oh, so the internship you do while in school?
Yes. She did the
came to
first
do
one,
with
the
me.
first 3 months. She did the second one. From her first 3 months, she became my staff. Even all through school, she was working and getting paid. She had difficulties.
So from being the worst student, she got to live mentorship.
Also, nobody comes to my
became the
office, not the
first.
worst. All the ones that come, developmental delay, blah, blah, blah. They all come. And by the time they leave, they go to spill. It was tough. Maybe thank God for all those tough trainings, because I've been dealt blows in this industry. by different people, the industry giants, the people within my office. Sometimes it's not really the physical person, it's just that and I'm like, there must be something really good about me for people to put up such a big fight to take me down. So it was tough. It was a plan to end it, but it didn't work. And nobody on the outside could see. It's how God knows how to cover his people. It was tough because when she left, even after she left and I hired new staff, she would call and tell them, this woman you're working for is bad. Why are you there?
She will call the office line.
She threatened
Where is
somebody
she
that
from?
stayed. I don't want to call her name, but people that know figure out. She threatened people that stayed. Appeared to people in person. It was not a small fight. It was not a small fight.
So people she didn't know, she'll find out they're working with you.
Yeah, she
then
just called the
find
office
them.
phone. Called the office phone. She was raging. Not just production, which
Such
was her
bitterness.
department, yes. All the stores, she just called. I am this. Remember, you must have heard my name. Working there. Blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to her. She will find ways to corrupt them.
So even after then, you kept losing people.
Yes.
After she had left.
Yes.
And she went away with everybody.
You
She
know,
met
some people followed her. Some people followed her and they met their Waterloo, but some people followed her. Some people left over time, but it was a gradual thing.
Yeah.
I lost all my team. So you can imagine
So how did you get out of this?
prayer
madness?
and just resilience. I remembering all my trainings, remembering what it was like constantly praying.
How did you run Fashion Week?
Miraculous. So I had
How many
then
looks?
some
How many? Your collection was
25. Some of those looks
How
are
did you
still
get that out?
selling till tomorrow. It was one of my best collections to
amazing.
date. But if you look at the collection, you'll see my pain. It was hard. It was not just her, it was her and the relationship all together in 1 year, 2017. That has to be the title of a book that I write someday. 2017.
2017.
Yeah, yes, it was tough. So how did I do it? I just didn't know. I was just praying, managing. God sent this miracle of a client who came and started buying things in bulk. He would buy and give them out as gifts. So I was able to meet my financial obligations. Like, we're never late on any bill. But it was tough. Very tough. I had like 2 tailors. And I had this intern from PAU. He was like my angel sent by God in the difficulty of all of that time. So Kennedy would do everything in the office. He would iron. He did anything. It was never
There was a
team.
churn.
Kennedy was sturdy. There was one time that I was handling the office phone and my staff didn't know. They were laughing at me. They made fun of me.
What's his phone?
They didn't know I was the one. They didn't know I was the one they were chatting with.
Oh.
So they said the conversation day before. Somebody had left, was trying to poach, and was trying to take documents out of the office. Somebody had trained from secondary school. She was having a conversation with somebody. Please help me take pictures of Susan and so all the documents that we used for. And she had gone to work at one of my former interns' company. And they wanted my documents again.
Didn't they learn when they were there?
Esheo. Owner of company, former intern. The new staff that is now leaving us to be manager there. Then you are now calling the current staff that was hired after you, that you are not to take picture and send to you. And that one sent voice notes. She doesn't know what she's doing. Who's she talking to? Who is going to mean that? What does she mean that 4 million naira is target for the month? For where? This office that is already dying. And they were laughing. And when I chatted for a bit, I said,
Oh, you continue chatting with
Of course, I pretended that. I said, this is so and so person. She froze. Till tomorrow, that girl can't meet my eye. And she's a close person. It be things. And then you have to still learn forgiveness. I cannot bear grudge, even with all these things. I've given jobs to the same people thereafter. I preferred them for things, opportunities. Because if I don't do that, I won't heal. But it was painful. It was painful. But thank God, He knows how to heal things. So 2017 passed, 2018 came, and we refused to go. So the Fashion Week, my sister, my mother was there. She was helping me. She came to live with me because I was losing it. And then I just prayed, God, I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. Don't
Were you
allow.
not also pregnant at this time?
Yes, my dear, I was. On my table, I did sleep. I show my daughter that table every day. This is where I slept and worked.
That tape, don't ever lose it. Save for
Anyway.
life.
It was tough, my sister. I just prayed and prayed. 2 weeks fashion week. You know, I couldn't even pull out. I had endorsements. I had ads I was supposed to shoot. I was brand ambassador for Belvedere. Belvedere was a sponsor of Fashion Week. So how was I not going to show a collection? Henneken as well. How was I
And
not
at
going to
that
show a collection?
level, at that time, you could not show
Rubbish.
few looks. It couldn't even be 10 looks.
My dear, you understand. And I had been on a high. Remember? I said that. I don't want to go into all details. Like, you're butting heads with people that, like,
Yeah, industry giants.
when they come, you
I
come.
see this
boo-
girl,
I wait, see.
yesterday.
So I just prayed and I just trusted I was going to work out. Thankfully, I went on a trip for my birthday. I met somebody, a Ghanaian designer. Her mom was a fabric merchant. I had bought fabric. I didn't even know when I was ordering the fabric then that it was going to be my saving grace
Oh.
at Fashion Week. Because I didn't have energy to source or even the joy to do anything.
Somebody had already messed up your relationships in the market. You were losing customers.
So this fabric had just come in. I drew inspiration from it. I designed. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I kept praying. 2 weeks to Fashion Week. People were coming for interview. Before you know it, my factory was full
2 weeks to fashion.
to Fashion Week.
14 days.
Yes.
To the day you would show.
To the day I will show. That's 7 days to my first fitting. I just started getting people walking in. Not people that I've trained, mind you. I couldn't even
Randoms.
I couldn't even sleep, and I was pregnant. I had to draft, cut, then stay there and show them stitch here, stitch there. Don't stitch here. Iron like this. But I was grateful for the hands. We did this collection. We finished it. Went for fitting. Should I bust your brain? When I was going to shoot, my brand new car ran into something that was not there on the express. I almost died.
Something that was not there.
It was a stationary vehicle. And by the time my car spun and crossed the express, that thing was not there again. But my
Wait, I
car
don't
was
understand.
compressed.
Wait, slow down.
No, let's not go too deep.
What?
So if you check the accident scene, don't see that car. But the car was there when I hit it. I landed in the hospital. I was pregnant. Thankful, nothing happened to me, but the car was squashed like this. After that experience, my PA did
You were
not come to work
driving?
again. Yes.
You were with your PA.
Yes. So after the series,
Nothing happened to both of you.
yes, we were cocooned. I was about to step out. I took my rosary and entered the car. I don't know why I did that. I left the car and took my rosary. We just do the front, the engine, poof, everything gone. So right up onto the windshield, that was where the compression stopped. And then we towed the car. I went to hospital. It was only a snapped neck I had. I didn't have anything else. My baby was fine. Everything was fine. My PA, now, Fashion Week, she have go again. In this
And that
stress.
was like 7 days.
Yeah, not like she came, but from then I lost her. Like she was no longer, I think the mental stress of
Yeah,
bad things
what
happening,
happened?
she couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't even blame anyone at that stage because it was just too much. The only person that did not go was Kehinde. I don't know how, I don't know why, but he was there.
He was there.
It was one shining light that you know God loves you. If this boy, raised by decent parents, is respectful, he doesn't mock me the way these other ones are doing. I held on to that.
Wow.
Sha, on my day I was going for my show, nobody called me. They call you, they follow up like I was going for an interview. They call me, are you here? Are you? Nobody called me.
From fashion show.
Yes.
Normally they'll follow up.
The devil don't plan out. I got to the car park by 7. My show was 8. The first person on the show that I saw said, oh, so you came?
What?
So you came.
Is it that there had been conversations?
My dear, I don't know.
prior to-
I don't know. All the people and the things they were doing, but the words that came out of her mouth was, so you came. I was
That's
able
such
to
a
do,
weird thing to say.
thank you. So why am I supposed to hold it against her? It was not her. It was whatever it was. But those were the things that I had to deal with. And I went and had a lovely show. I did my Henneken prize. I was able to do the campaign. Everything happened. We showed collection. Collection was the hit. Kept paying. Beds of Paradise.
And turns out to be one of the best collections.
Yeah.
And you're still selling till date.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
God is always with you as long as you give him yourself. Things will always work out as long as you don't give up. Yeah, they're going to be tested. I have had tests, plenty of them. 2017 was really, really hard.
You know, there are conversations that people have and they're like...
And I also blame myself. So I took
Why?
my blame. I said that I'd become invincible. If I wasn't culpable, it wouldn't really happen, right? So I was culpable in some sense. I had become invincible. I thought I was the designer. From that day, I knew I was not the designer. Before that, I thought I was intelligent. The intelligence failed me. Everything I knew failed me. My family, everything that was normal, that was in this life, everything failed. It was a very beautiful thing that happened to me. As bad as it was, one of the best things that happened to me in my life. That difficulty, 2017, 2018. As difficult as it was, there was a customer that came in and packed up my whole shop in Ikoyi for 3 days.
What do you mean pack up your shop?
She packed it up, my dear sister. Because
Packed all the clothes there?
Yes, she stood outside the door with her security and her driver, and she was removing the clothes and giving them. My staff stood on the side and they were helpless. I don't know why they were helpless. I don't know what happened to them. The reason was I didn't pick her call.
Even though
that was her reason. 3 days she didn't bring it back. She brought it back, threatening me to do my worst. I still had to do her job. At the end of it, she was trying to make a dress for her daughter. So I made that outfit, even in this thing. She came to my store. Yes, to an empty store to fit. The girl came boldly. The man didn't come with her. She came with her driver and security. She came to my store that they had packed all my...
That her mom had packed up.
Yes.
That was really a do your worst.
And she kept telling me, do your work. And I almost went to the police. And I had gotten to the point where I was feeling invincible. I had this financial advisor. I said, just built a name out of nothing. Don't do anything. You always talk about how you speak to God. Let God fight for you. Do her job. It was hard, but I did it. After 3 days, she returned the clothes.
After you delivered?
Bola, me later, I want to show you. Things started getting worse. And then I had to give out everything in the store. I had to remove everything from the store.
So it came back and they stopped selling. The Ikoyi store stopped selling.
For a month. Because they hear me, I didn't first of all understand. Because we had orders that were still... After a while, I realized the financial number. Something is not adding.
So you realized clothes weren't leaving the rack?
Yes.
People would come fit and take their order, but clothes weren't leaving the rack.
So I had to do everything. It was a very bitter pill to swallow. But I had to pack it up. Give it all out. Start afresh. So my business journey is not really
it's not all glamour. With fashion, you see the glamour.
No, it's not glam. Fashion is the devil's con. It's not an easy job to do. It's not even financially rewarding like that in Africa. So I always wonder why so much hate, so much discord, so much division. Maybe because it makes you popular. I don't know. It's been tough, but it's been rewarding. In every interview, I say I get to live my dream. Just because I'm able to be a designer, I'm thankful. The whole world said it's not possible, you can't do it, and then you're able to become that and become successful at it. Yes. And then I desired another level because in Nigeria at the time, most people were not looking seeking business success from fashion. They were seeking validation from the public. If you check fashion history, the ones that came before maybe were okay with both. But it was a socialite thing. It was more like a hobby, like playing polo. They give you money, but it's not really about the money. Fashion was a bit like that in Nigeria. You may not make money from it, but you get popularity. Everyone will applaud you. But me, I need applaud me, then reward me. Because we need to live and survive. So even where I approached fashion from the beginning was against the regular fashion playbook because I didn't have what people typically came into fashion with. I relied heavily on my talents, my intuition, and then just pure hustle. And reading between the lines and finding the gaps and filling those gaps. That has been the staying power. And then just resilience. As I'm here today, is just not giving up. Not that things didn't go completely bonkers or didn't turn upside down. The resilience is trust that if God sent me, He has backed me. So every time I say, I die here. So even if you pack up and go, I'm here. And the people that are sent will be here. We're not going anywhere.
No fear of starting over me. You've had to do that multiple times.
And the beautiful thing about it is never shown on the outside.
Oh, it's never shown that you started over.
That's the point, darling. Never.
So for you, it feels like the end. To the outside, it's just a continuous.
Though some people that actively, they will know. Because that was their
Those that
opportunity.
actively worked.
I want
that
it to
worked at it.
they will know. I heard it's shared, but it's never shared. And
It's
never shared.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me ask you a few rapid fire questions. Yes. What's your favorite piece of design that you've ever made?
I think Oleku dream dress. I would easily say Dija. So in recent times, of all time, will be Oleku. In recent times, will be Dija. Because Dija was like my...
Give us
rebirth.
a random number. How many pieces of Oleku have you sold? And how many pieces of Dija?
Dija, maybe over 5,000 by now. Oleku about the same or more. At the point, I was selling about 100 Olekus in a week.
In a week? Was Oleku done in 2017?
No. 15 or 14. It was my first
I remember
collection.
The
Second collection. So that was 2011 or 12. I still sell it.
Fantastic.
I still sell it.
Over 5,000.
Dija is the one that, God has shown me mercy.
It's a hot number.
Yeah.
Yes. What can I get?
Dija paid for my house.
Amazing.
Dija has been a blessing. That's like God's comfort.
After everything you've been through. Fantastic.
Yeah. Just showing you that lean into it, you still got it like this. Just lean into it.
I love the story. It's beautiful to hear. It's comforting. It's inspiring. Which global fashion designer inspires you the most?
In recent times, I don't think I have any, but one of all time, Alexander McQueen.
Interesting. This should be fun. Describe your entrepreneurial journey using one Nigerian slang.
Omo.
Oh.
Oh,
I like that. Okay. What's the best advice you've received in your career?
I don't know. To be honest, I introspect a lot. I think I find ways to teach myself. I've not really had mentors, or when I try to have, it's been met with some. So I've not really had somebody else pour into me like that. I'm longing for it. Because even though you're good, you still want people. We're made to be with people. So I don't really know.
Complete this sentence. In Nigeria, if you don't dash, you won't survive.
Hustle.
Everybody says that. Hustle. Okay. Fantastic. So before you go, our last guest dropped a question for the next guest. A question and a word. We'll start with the word. I'll need you to interpret it or just say what it means to you. The word is success.
Oh. What does it mean to me? Success is not a wholesome destination. I remember one of the best things an entrepreneur said to me, there's no there. I like that. You say, I want to get there. It wasn't like that.
When you get there,
you still want to get there.
Yep.
So there's no there. So I would use that now to define success is a pocket of wins. So whatever you determine to do, are you able to get it done? You have succeeded.
That's powerful. Thank you for that. If you had to go back to the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, what would you wish to change?
Financial literacy. Have a better rounded education in the beginning. Yeah.
Financial
literacy. I don't think it's something that is really taught in Nigeria. I think that everybody just expects everyone to know it. Everybody should know, but I don't think people know. They don't really know. Most people wing it. And
then you find your path, your balance somewhere.
But it would be nice to be taught, maybe even as a course from primary school through secondary school. it would be helpful so that you have the tools, you have the knowledge, you're not winging it through life. Just
Makes
that.
sense. Makes sense. There's a gap there. I agree. Quick question. Where are you from?
Where am I from?
Yes.
I am Lagosian from Delta State.
From Delta State. What language do you speak?
I speak Yoruba.
Okay, so in Yoruba. I want you to say a phrase or a proverb that explains your philosophy on life or business.
My philosophy
Of course, you
on life.
interpret it.
Yeah. Ṣe sí ọmọ làkejì rẹ bí o ṣe fẹ́ kán ṣe sí ẹ. That's just my philosophy on life. Do unto others as you would that they should do unto you.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Sacrifice. I don't think this part is spoken about. Everybody just assumes that success is adding A and B together. Sacrifice is the underlying factor in my own entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've just heard Ejiro Amos-Tafiri's story. The resilience, the successes, the wins, and the fight. What idea are you staying on through and through? Remember, real stories, real strategies. That's how empires are built.